What's up, you guys? My name is Stephen London, and this is another episode of Manover. You guys, I missed you. It's been a full week, and as I was getting ready to come back to the show, there was something that I wanted to do, and I've been meaning to do for a really, really long time, and that's talk about Britney Spears. I was going to include this in yesterday's show. In last week's show, and try to cover it on my own. And I had all these spark notes and ready to go. And I said, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this by myself. One. And then two, I need my squad. I need my people that know all things Britney. I have two amazing people that I can't wait for you guys to meet. I think that they are Britney experts, Britney super fans, people that have been telling me about this stuff for years. And so I want to bring them on and introduce us. Also, this is the first time that we have guests on the show. Welcome, Albert and Jasmine. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Hi.
Hey. Happy to be here.
So I'm so excited to do this show only because, one, we all love Britney. I love Britney. I've told you this, Albert, before. It's Beyonce and Britney for me. Period. I am a beehive and I'm down in the Britney army. I'm invested. I've gone to the shows. I have the merch. I'm invested. And I think that when you think about artistry, when you think about somebody who has dedicated their life at being fantastic at their craft, I think of her, right? In the ways that we've seen pop stars like Britney. Of course, Britney, but we've seen Michael and Beyonce and all these people really dedicate themselves and submerge themselves into their artistry. I think of Britney Spears. So now fast forwarding to where we are now and seeing in the condition that she's in and what the hell is happening. What are you guys' thoughts on just that? As a Britney fan, how does it make you feel to see where she is now as an artist and everything that's going on? And I'll start with you, Jasmine, so you can take it off from there.
Yeah. So just for me personally, I actually missed a good chunk of the mid 2010s, I guess, of what was going on with Britney. But I was a fan as a kid, of course. I remember getting the Baby One More Time cassette, had all the CDs and merch and things like that. But looking kind of fast forwarding now, I honestly was kind of late to what's happening at the moment, but it is really just devastating, honestly. To know that in front of the entire world, fans, casual people, media, everything, that she has been essentially trafficked and manipulated and held captive in this conservatorship that so many people are held in as well. It's just really mind-blowing. Quite frankly, it pisses me off that we've all been gaslit, right? This entire time to different degrees.
Right.
So I'm super proud of her for having the courage to speak up, and I'll just kind of leave it at there. But I'm glad to be here and help push for her freedom that she deserves.
Yeah. Albert, what about you? Because I, again, super Britney fan, love Britney. You guys, we worked together for a period of time, and literally Albert had a Britney Spears cutout in the office. And so Britney Spears was one of our coworkers, basically, in our mind. And immediately when I posted that I was looking for people to do this, you came to mind and you hit me up and we were like, yes, we got to do this. So how is it for you as a fan, as someone who loves her music and has connected with her as an artist throughout the decades, to see where she is now as an artist?
Yeah, it's a bummer. I've been diehard Britney from day one, right? So just like you, Jasmine, Baby One More Time on cassette. And the real diehard fans that have been with her through the whole time have kind of gone on the highs and lows with her, right? Which we'll definitely unpack. Because she was on this unbelievable high. there was at one point she was the biggest superstar in the earth, right? 2000, think 2002, 2003. It was we were living in Britney's world. Then 2007 kind of hit, and it was kind of this unbelievable blow, and then seemingly we thought things had gotten better, right? she got better pretty quickly and immediately put out Circus, and she jumped into her Circus tour, which was like her highest grossing tour of all time, even more so than Vegas. And then here we are to see, you know, where she's at. It's a bummer from an artist standpoint, because I feel like money got involved and kind of took this thing that she loved, which was like to create music and to create art and visuals and stage shows and videos. This is something that she loved, and like this greed and this money kind of made it like disgusting for her. And then it's like a bummer, you know, that's the artist side of it. And then from just like a human rights standpoint, to Jasmine's point, I mean, she's a human being and she can't go to the ATM. You know, we heard her say that they forced her to have an IUD. She doesn't have control over her like reproductive system. It's like it's disgusting and really upsetting across the board. But it seems like we've made the most amount of progress thus far, especially with the testimony that came out 2 weeks ago. So I'm hopeful that there will be some positive change. I mean, I'm a super Britney fan. I don't even want her to make music. If she doesn't want to make music, she doesn't have to make music. I just want I want Homegirl to be happy. So it seems like we're on that. We're there. We're it seems like we're getting there.
And I love like that's kind of where, to piggyback off of that, I feel like that's exactly how I feel, where I'm just kind of like, at this point, she's an icon. She's a legend. She's put in the work. She has bops that I'm still going to play till I'm old, you know, always. And so I feel like anyone should have complete control of their life. And like any other artist, whether you're an actor or singer or dancer or whatever it is that you do, there comes a natural point where you're kind of like, enough is enough. I don't want to do this. I had my fun. This is someone that's been in the limelight since she was a child. You know, this is something that like artistry and fame has been around for a really long time in her life. And it seems like normalcy wasn't ever really a thing, right? Like, she gets picked out from like Louisiana, dropped in New York, and boom, like the rest is hit. Everything just kind of like runs. And there's never, you can see that she's craving moments to just be a mom or to just be a wife or to just like these very things that she should be able to do. But because of the paparazzi, the pressure of the industry, and like we all know, the pressure of the family and the money, here we are. So I want to talk about key people in Britney's life, and I want to get you guys' opinion. And also, you guys, if you're just joining us, welcome. We are doing a free Britney special. We're also going to be talking about some of our favorite makeup products, skincare products, things like that in a second. I know y'all want to get to the makeup. We'll get there, but I really want to make sure that we're dissecting this. So I want to talk about some key people in her life and get you guys' opinion. Starting with, I believe this is Britney and her mom that we're showing right now. Tell me, what do you guys think? Because a lot of people, obviously we have seen the dad, what we'll get to in a moment. We're seeing Jamie Lynn coming out and speaking out, which I, Lord, know, sure as hell have thoughts about that. But here we are, like, immediately you think, this is a girl, where's her mom? As a woman, she must know, like, an IUD, are you serious? Like being drugged and not being able to be a mom? Like, what do you guys think about Miss Spears in this situation?
Jasmine.
So,
go ahead, Jasmine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for anyone who is a Britney fan or has been at any point, has an understanding that, you know, the Spearses in general, prior to the kids being born, have had quite a turbulent and abusive relationship, as Lynn Spears said herself back in 2008 in her book. But me personally, you know, it's hard because I kind of start thinking the same way I feel about Jamie Lynn. Also, I've seen this happen. I could not imagine. I do not know any of the baggage that they've been through. I personally pull back from like wanting to label her as a stage mom. That's just my personal perspective. However, it is extremely hard for me, even as someone who has had difficult relationships within my own family dynamic, to understand how she could remain so silent and allow herself to be so isolated from the situation. I get that there are probably plenty of threats and dangers and all sorts of things that, you know, Britney just barely scratched the surface when she gave her testimony. However, I try not to come down on her too hard, but at the end of the day, Britney says she wants to sue her family, and she didn't leave anyone out of that
And she
in her
didn't leave
statement.
nobody out. And it's no way, I'm sorry, but like, just because you're not necessarily saying anything, sometimes it's just as bad as not saying nothing at all.
Exactly.
Or saying something bad. And that's kind of how I feel. But I just feel like we're not getting enough from you. This, like, if you didn't agree with what the hell is going on, the same way that we're hearing from Britney now for the first time, there's no reason why we haven't heard from you as her mom in outrage of this, if you're aware that this is what's going on. Albert, what's your take on Britney's mom?
Yeah, it's I guess I would call it disappointing too. If you're an early Britney fan and you kind of remember some of the interviews of Britney where she would bring her mom to events because that's who was in her life at the time. The way Britney spoke about her mother and then spoke about the mother that she wanted to be, it was rather beautiful. It was kind of nice. They had this amazing relationship.
Right.
And to Jasmine's point, I'm sure there are layers that we don't know, right? And when they do put that person on the piece of paper that is your conservator, like that's it, period, blank. No one else is to make choices or get in there. However, I grew up with a mother who's like a lioness, and I've obviously, growing up, have been in some sticky situations, not like this, where you figure it out and you like get in there and you help your child. So especially to think that this has gone on over a decade, we're like pushing 13 years. It's one thing to be silent for a period of time and then step up, but to be quiet that long, I don't know. It's disappointing. And to Jasmine's point, Britney dragged them all. She said, I want to sue my family, like all of them. So
damn, they belong in jail. That was her
they
exact
belong in
words,
jail, period, end quote. So there are certain things on this Zoom that like I'll lean in hard because I feel confident that I know the tea and I know the facts and I know the information. And then there are certain things where, Britney fans have to just take a step back and just accept the fact that we don't know a lot, right? Or there's certain things that we may not know. So when it comes to Lynn, she did start to speak up in the beginning of the Free Britney movement. It was a little late. Free Britney movement started in 2019. But I do think she is pro getting Britney out of this. I just wish she just would have had a stronger voice and a stronger stance in the whole thing.
I'm also like interested too, and maybe that the father has maybe silenced her too in some type of capacity.
100%. You can even get that vibe if the viewers and if you guys watch the New York Times documentary,
right?
Even when they interviewed Britney's brother, and he alluded to like, oh, the Spears women are like pretty strong. The men have to like keep it in check. I think there was a lot of toxic sort of 1950s. The men have this role and the women have that role, and like that's how it goes, and who has an opinion and who doesn't. And I do think Lynn was almost just as silenced as Britney. It's unfortunate.
It really sucks. So I want to talk about the next person in this matter that's whether it's been a family member or someone that's been speaking out. Rashad, can we cut to the next person? Yeah, her sister.
Lord.
Lots to discuss here, y'all, because also too, for me, I'll tell y'all this. From the minute Albert, you and I were speaking about this like years ago when we were working, and we would have these conversations about like, where's Britney's mental health at and things like that. And I would always go back to like, where's Jamie Lynn in all of this? Like, what does she have to say? This is someone who was in the limelight, got pregnant at a really young age. That entire situation almost just very quickly got camped and put away in a box. And it was almost like Jamie Lynn had fell off the face of the earth. Everyone was like, what the hell happened? What happened to my show on Nickelodeon that I loved? And like, where is she and what's going on? And we would then see Britney, who would get questions about her sister, and she would always be very supportive of her sister and speak really well of her sister. And now that Britney has spoken, and now that like everyone's finally like, and you, now she has something to say. What are you guys' thoughts on her comments and what, like, how y'all feeling about her involvement?
I gotta hop in here. I don't have the time for Jamie Lynn. Personally, I mean, at the end of the day, and these are things that we know, she is managed by the woman who was rumored and allegedly the mastermind behind this conservatorship, Lou Taylor. She still is managed by her. Plenty of fans have seen them interact on Instagram, but even more so than that, we have seen Jamie Lynn say really off the wall things, very defensive, very much kind of like throwing out Britney's mental health and saying, well, I shouldn't really speak about this. And just all of these continuously gaslighty things. She's gone off about how she doesn't benefit from her sister whatsoever. There are court documents showing that she has taken flights on Britney's dime. There are court documents showing that she was listed as a trustee of the trust that Britney established prior to the conservatorship, set up for her sons. And rumor has it, allegedly, she may have moved money without the court's permission. So she is very much involved from the fans' perspective, allegedly, according to court documents, with the conservatorship and also with those who are involved with the conservatorship. At the end of the day, if she thinks it's not her place to say anything about Britney's mental health, that's fine. But she should have kept her mouth shut. At the end,
your hands ain't
was
clean,
illegal.
Jamie. Your hands ain't clean. Like,
no. So I didn't really need to hear from her.
I want to run that back because I don't even think I knew that she was managed by the same guy who.
It's a woman.
It's a woman.
Managed by the same woman who is
the mastermind
behind this whole situation.
Correct.
According to Lynn Spears.
Yes. So,
and she is still buddy. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Jamie is not for me and has never been for me. I don't like Jamie pre-conservatorship, and I don't like her during, and I will not like her after when Britney is out. Lou Taylor is the business manager and the mastermind behind all of this. You know, Jamie had gone out of her way in recent months, posting a picture of her and Lou, you know, with a caption describing her love for her and how much she's done for the family. It just all doesn't track with me. Also, Jamie's, you know, sort of brute statement that she just kind of made that I think she had to make out of necessity since Britney dragged her by including family on a global stage, since obviously the world listened to that testimony.
Yes.
Just her tone and her approach of, I love my sister, this, that, and the other thing. You know, I'm a sibling. I have brothers. I have a sister. There's no way I would allow, or at least sit back and allow such a thing to happen to any of my siblings. Again, especially for 13 years.
For 13 years.
It's just rough. I mean, one thing that we could cover off on that we can't lose sight of is Britney is still, regardless of the conservatorship or not, is still not all there mentally, right? She knows she has to be on medication. She even said on the testimony, I would like to go to therapy, but maybe make the therapist come to my house. So there's obviously something going on with Britney, and the tea is we all got stuff going on, right? Like everyone has something going on.
Let me tell you something. If you don't have a mental health situation going on, then maybe I don't know where the hell you've been, because if COVID and this whole pandemic didn't do it for you, then I don't know what is going to. But everyone has something.
Everyone
doesn't qualify her for a conservatorship, you know, because there are, like Britney mentioned it too, there are thousands, if not millions, of people who are conserved. And maybe they shouldn't need to be. No one deserves to have their complete autonomy taken away from them. There are different methods to support people. You know, I believe everybody should go to therapy. You know, I personally take medication for anxiety. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. There are people who, you know, at the end of the day, the type of conservatorship that Britney is placed under is called a probate conservatorship in California. And if you look at the law, it's for those who have dementia or severe developmental disorders. Britney doesn't have a birth defect, you know, that's in the court documents. But they said that she had dementia at 26, which would have made her the youngest person to ever have dementia in the court documents when they placed her into this conservatorship.
What?
And yeah. And so then it comes out, and it was confirmed actually today that there is no medical capacity declaration for Britney. They denied
One was never done.
Yeah, it's a money grab, you know. At the end
it's
of
a
the
money
day.
grab.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They said she had dementia. They didn't say anything about. I mean, regardless of the fact, she should not be in this conservatorship. I think that's the.
Yeah, I think that's clear. I think
Yeah.
that we all obviously. I mean, that's where this whole movement is stemming from, right? It's some people look at it as, oh, these are just deranged people who are obsessed with this person who's a celebrity, and it's like, no. This is bigger than that. This is literally, if this is not done and taken care of like appropriately, who else? Like what else? Like the damages that this does for everyone across the board, right? At a judicial level, at a justice level, we have to look at this and say, this isn't right. And this is a whole bunch of lawyers and judges and people that are involved, and money's at the table, and a lot of money. Okay, we're not talking about a couple thousands, we're talking about millions, okay? And quite frankly, the money that is still to be made, right? Because if they continue to have control over her, there's still more opportunity. Let's release this book. Let's do this biopic. Let's make a hologram. Let's do that. Like
they're having the Michael Jackson musical now. I mean,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I think that was kind of the thought process of like, no, this will go away. This will go away. This will go away. For Shad, I want to fast forward to the Free Britney pictures, and particularly the people who have been protesting. Even as we were putting this together, you guys, I posted on Instagram that I wanted to do this. Like, just by me posting the hashtag, I was contacted by so many different like Free Britney organizations, pages, individuals who were like, oh, hey, like this is interesting. Like, you know, what are you going to guys be talking about? Or do you need anything? Or like, hey, I know somebody that's really good. That's how Jasmine and I got connected. How do you guys think that they being so vocal has played into this? I personally don't feel like I don't think that Britney would have even been making a statement. I don't think none of this would have happened without the push of this documentary and all the work that Free Britney has been doing.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
yeah, I agree. I think Britney even mentioned in her testimony that she was potentially embarrassed. She was concerned that people wouldn't believe her. And to see the like collective, what started, I believe, of a group of people in the United States with a podcast grow into a global hashtag,
right?
Which pushed a bunch of different buttons, both internally and externally, within the conservatorship and outside of the conservatorship. I think none of this would be happening without the movement. And it's just so unbelievable that the movement had gone on for such a period of time with this sort of larger public question mark, right? You had either, to your point, Stephen, like these are like crazy super fans who don't have a job and have the time to just stand outside this court. And then there were the people who were like, no, something is up. And like we were talking about prior to the show, when she was reading her testimony and it was just fact-checking every single thing that the Free Britney movement has been talking about and nailing it. I mean, she was saying every single thing that this hashtag and this movement has been covering. It almost took me back a little bit to hear her say that, she lied on Instagram. She said she wasn't okay, and they actually do drug her. And when she walked off the stage of her Vegas show, the media said, now you have to tour it. And I saw it twice. I saw it when she toured the Piece of Me show. I went twice. And to hear that she didn't want to do it, and then to hear all of the tea regarding the domination announcement, which I sat at this table and watched the announcement and was like, what was that? What just happened?
One of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life.
I was blown away by how wrong it was. And then to hear the tea in the documentary, and then to hear Britney straight up say, like, I didn't want to do it. I did not want to do it. And then I'm being punished for it. It's just all like, it's almost a bit surreal. Yeah.
Jasmine, one of the reasons why I wanted to particularly have you on was I love that we connected at a civil rights human rights, feminist level, right? Like we were just saying, this is bigger than just Britney Spears and people who love Britney Spears and being a fan. This is big because we're talking about a woman having control over her body, period. Tell me a little bit more about your involvement in that perspective as a woman, reading things like, you know, she's being given lithium and IUDs are being placed and she wants to have a family and can't. And how does that make you feel? And what do you think happens when, if this doesn't end, what do you think this means for women across the world who are watching this, following this case, and are like invested?
Yeah, so I kind of, my background was in organizing and community activism anyway. I had worked in, you know, I was familiar with the dynamics between Black and brown communities and police and Black and brown communities and misogynoir and so on and so forth. And so hearing the things, not only seeing what was happening along the Free Britney movement, but then having the opportunity to actually hear Britney say these things herself, it immediately put me in the mindset of saying, this is like a tale as old as time, right, where eugenics have been played a part in not only weaponized against Black and brown communities, but specifically against those who are deemed to be mentally impaired or mentally incompetent. Yes. A way for men to control women. Let's just shuffle you into this facility here, or take away your right to control your body, your own autonomy. And I think that was getting lost in a lot of, from my perspective, I've seen a lot of people be super shocked at some of the things Britney has said. And like, I'm more so taken aback that she had the balls really to just say it, you know, and I think that was because she knew that she would be heard, she would be believed. But as a woman, it is just completely disorienting. But I think the most important thing I want people to know is that this isn't something that's new. I know along the Free Britney movement, I've had a chance to connect with an Australian group that advocates against guardianship and conservatorship abuse, because apparently it is also a big thing there where you have those who are deemed disabled or actually disabled who are also being taken control of by the state and having it's the same exact situation. So I think the thing really is just that I hope that this will wake some folks up to the larger issue that Britney is not an exception. I think the only thing that's exceptional about her case is that she is one of the most popular women in the world. She is a white woman in America, which is another thing that they have been able to successfully up until this point do this, you know, because they have employed all of the systems of control that are typically given to white cis men or just cis men in general in this country. And so it's really heartbreaking. I know she has 2 children of her own already. And I can't imagine what they're going through. I just think about
them kids, man. I think about those kids, and I think
they're at the front of my mind.
Yeah. It really breaks my heart. And thank you, Jasmine, for that, because I think that was my whole point in like even wanting to talk to this about all my friends, right? Like I work at the Griot. It's a Black organization, a Black news brand organization. And when, you know, that tape dropped that morning and it trended and it was everywhere, my platform at the Griot was kind of like, should we like talk about this? Because she's not Black and like we cover Black news stories. And I said, no. You have to, because it's not just that like it's Britney Spears and this is right rich pop star, you know, white rich pop star who's going through some shit. This is a big deal for women. This is connected to layers and layers and layers of our judicial system. Today we've seen Bill Cosby just get released out of damn prison. Because mistakes were made. I mean, it speaks to the loopholes that stand in our justice system, whether you're Black, whether you're white, whether you're a celebrity or not. Like, this shit is affecting all of us. You know, the justice system is failing in a lot of things. And at the end of the day, like you said, when women or men or people are put in a position of mental health being looked at as oh, well, this is not you have anxiety, or you can't control yourself when these things happen, or you have a hard time difficulty this, so I own you now. That's absurd. Like, that is ridiculous. That is disgusting, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Is there anything from either you guys, and I'll start with you, Albert, is there anything that you feel like people don't know about this movement? Is there anything in particular that you feel like stands out to you and it's like, nah, more people need to know that this is going on? Because I've already learned so much just from talking to you guys, and that was the whole point of this. Also, you guys, you keep seeing me look down because I'm looking at your comments and questions that are coming in, and I want to take some time to ask some of those questions as well. But Albert, is there anything that you want to include and that stands out to you?
No, the thing that kind of, the irony that continues to blow me away, again, as a fan who's been around for the whole time, rewind, it's 2007, Britney shaves her head. She's put on that 5150 hold after locking herself in her bedroom with her kids. For those of you who don't know what a 5150 hold is, it's essentially a medically induced sort of like, they essentially put you under 24-hour surveillance because you're a hazard to yourself. If you think about the absolute worst times of Britney's life in 2007, fans in 2008 almost looked to Jamie, her father, as a hero. We loved him. He essentially came in and cleaned this shit up real quick. I mean, he implemented restraining orders against the people that were toxic in her life, like Sam Lufty, that was her then manager in 2007, implemented this conservatorship, which again, at the time, I think some of us were like, okay, Britney needs structure. Britney needs someone to get in there. I just find it to be unbelievably mind-blowing that someone that was literally like our Britney hero this whole time has just been such an unbelievable villain. And that's really the thing that is kind of like driving me crazy, that we've kind of just been sitting back for this entire time as she's put out albums and has gone on tours that I see 2 to 3 to 4 times, as they tour. And, the whole time you have to wonder, like, did she even want to be there? Was she even into it? Was this music that she wanted to put out? So in my Britney fantasy, in my head, she gets out of this conservatorship. She has the children that she wants. And if she does want to make music again, it's music and performances and videos on her terms. And those are kind of
100%.
My last thought.
I also think too, like, to your point, that we see her father almost being this like superhero that comes in and saves the day. I don't know about y'all, but then they almost had me thinking like, well, was this part of that plan? Like, was that also like, what did he come in to save the day so then that way he could really have control and get it to this place? Like, did he see the buzz and the clout and the admiration from these fans and from these people that applauded him, and he realized that he became a white savior to the world's biggest pop star at the time, and realized like, oh wait, I now have her at the palm of my hand. I could really do whatever I want. Because in my mind, that's how it. That's
the first she wasn't even talking to him either.
100%. I highly recommend, and if there are Britney fans watching, I'm sure they've already seen it. Watch the documentary For the Record. It essentially was a documentary that came out, which was kind of to just put a knot on 2007 for Britney. It's essentially like, shit happened. Yeah. I'm better now. And now I'm making this album Circus, with the lead single being Womanizer. But she talks about candidly, and it's really like the only time you've ever heard her talk about it. She doesn't use the word conservatorship, but she talks about being evaluated and the doctors and the lawyers that are in her life. And she starts to cry that every day feels like Groundhog's Day. It's essentially the same thing. There's no passion. There's no creativity. There's no spontaneity. And she's crying in this documentary, which aired in 2008. She'd only been in the conservatorship for like a couple months, if not a year. Right. She's already so unhappy with it. And here we are 13 years later having this conversation. I highly recommend watching the documentary now, because hindsight is 2020. And to watch this documentary that came out in 2008, which was essentially like a rebrand of the image. She's good. She's happy. It was just another. It was another
thing to just move it on out and say, she came back. She performed at the VMAs. I believe that this it also did come out on MTV. I remember. At least that's where I had watched it for the record when it came out. And I remember being like, yeah, okay, she seems to be in a better place, but like, is she happy? And that was the question that I felt like at the end. I felt very much like, is she happy? And then I thought, well, if she wasn't happy, the music won't keep going, the tours won't happen. Like, she'll just stop doing that, because I know that that's what really brings her joy, is the art of music. And so I almost in my way kind of did exactly what they wanted me to do as a fan, was like, just believe it and see it for what it is.
Yeah.
But to your point, Albert, I did watch, for the record, immediately after I had watched the Hulu thing, because you know me, now I'm like, well, girl, now I got to do my research and rewatch this because it's a whole new set of eyes. And I was like, if that, to your point, if that was just a couple months, if a year, what the hell do you think that then 13 years looks like? Especially now when we're talking about medications, lithium, like what else is going on? And I think about situations like when there was a fire in her house and she addressed that on Instagram, and so many like hidden things. And I'm like, was this girl trying to burn her own house down so she could be free? Like, I started questioning so many things.
Again, it's hindsight 2020. Even if you think about, I mean, I mentioned 5150 hold, the shaving of the head, like serious things happened in 2007. In a matter of months, we've made a new album and we're going on a global tour, which again, to date is her largest tour ever, the Circus tour starring Britney Spears, which by the way was unbelievable. Chef's Kiss. It was unbelievable.
It was beautiful. I went.
Homegirl didn't
every single second of it.
Yeah. My girl didn't even have a minute, it seemed, to gather herself, regroup. She had her, iconic 2007 pop culture iconic. We know it wasn't, that sparkly or good, performance in 2007, and they had her opening the 2008 VMAs with a speech. I just felt, again, you're looking back on it now, and it's like, in what I call woke culture. Britney was right on the cusp of woke culture, right? And she like kind of missed the cusp and got the tail end of like disgusting, misogynistic, toxic culture, which we saw in the Hulu documentary. It's just a bummer. It's just hindsight is 2020.
And it was still that era in pop culture also where you needed, or not needed, I know Mariah talks about it all the time, where now we don't really need the tabloids and the press, but then it was like you would get, Diary, you would get all of these things following artists, you would get making the video, all of these things where it was really up to the media to really control how an artist was put out. Exactly, control the narrative. Whereas now, most people can go on to their Instagram and record their own videos. She was right on the cusp of that also. And then also, being that big of a star in that era, she was probably the last of those, of like the Michael, the Janet, Britney. And then now it's a whole different type of
like now social media has taken over what traditional media was doing before. And now everything is calculated. So when you go on IG Live, to the video that gets posted, to the picture that it's uploaded, like everything is now very controlled. And I think artists from her time, the ones that have been able to make it on the other side, in a relevancy kind of level, Mariah Carey, Britney Spears, Beyonce, and individuals like that, you have seen them take a break. You have seen them like step away from the limelight, have decided to make their life private because they had to give so much of it in that.
Beyonce hasn't done an interview in like she just doesn't do it.
She doesn't do it.
Taylor Swift doesn't do it.
Exactly. Anytime that she wants you to know something, she'll tell you herself on her own platforms. And I almost wish, and I say this all the time, like I wish Britney, to your point, like on that cusp, I wish that would have happened with Britney. I wish that like all of this would have happened just a little bit later. And not that I'm wishing that anything, I wish that none of this happened at all, because she doesn't deserve this and no one deserves this. But I feel like, to your point, woke culture was there. Me Too movement happened shortly after. And it seemed like there was this huge feminist way that, thank God, came in that really helped a lot of people in the limelight in one way, shape, or form. But now here we are. This is coming to light. Today, we've seen that Britney Spears has officially decided to file against the conservatorship, which is huge and things and fantastic. I'm so happy. I love, somebody told me when they were listening to the tape and when the judge told her, like, listen, you have to file. And the fact that she didn't even know that she could do that, my friend was like, well, does she not have Google? And I'm like, she probably doesn't. Like, she probably doesn't have a phone. Like, she probably you don't know the living circumstances. There is so much more here that is still being peeled back away. So I'm excited. My last question for you guys is how can people get involved? How do you think that this helps? How can we help Britney? But how can we also help each other in making sure that these things are not happening to other people that are not just Britney Spears, right? Conservatorships are things that are going on an everyday basis. There was this movie on Netflix, I don't know if you guys watched it, where they come in, they take care of, they file conservatorships over elderly people and pretty much like take all their money, make them crazy, put them in a home and go away. So this is happening at rapid level across this country and around the world. What do you think is a way for us to get involved in and help in one way, shape, or form? And I'll start with you, Jasmine.
First, I just want to apologize. I'm on my porch and a few houses down there playing some music, so I don't want that to get in the way of the audio.
No worries. No worries.
Okay. But I think the first thing really is to educate yourself. I did not see that movie, I Care a Lot, but I know that there is a documentary that is available. The director is Billy Mintz. It's called The Guardians. And it really goes into the guardianship and conservatorship system. I think also there's also a deep dive. They have a Britney documentary, which is on YouTube. It is amazing. I think that is the most kind of in-depth, no holds barred type of documentary. Hulu and New York Times, they did a really good job and they kickstarted on a large platform, but Deep Dive really kind of, if you have the time, to kind of really dig into the details and, hear what maybe they didn't have a chance to say yet. But for me personally, like I'm based in the New York area, so I do attend the New York rallies. But for anyone who is maybe not able to do that or overseas, I would say, like I said, first, just educate yourself, really take the time to kind of get into the issues, because at the end of the day, it's easy to kind of sit back and kiki and talk about Jamie Lynn and everything, but it's really the court system that enabled this.
That's right.
The judges have gotten off thus far scot-free. The judge that was in charge of putting Britney in this conservatorship is on record saying she doesn't want to be investigated by the FBI. So I think really just question your relationship to and with government and authority. I think you should, if you have those that are disabled or impaired in any or differently abled any way, shape, or form around you, to look into ways to support them, but still allow them to be fully human, because it doesn't matter. Everyone is fully human. There is no reason, usually is no reason to take anyone's full autonomy away from them. There are things such as supportive decision making, and just really share the word, honestly. I too have gotten, like you said earlier, Stephen, about people saying, well, this is a rich white woman, like, why do you care? Aside from it being Britney, I mean, isn't that scary? If this is a rich white woman and this is happening
and
to her, what do you think is happening here? Mm-hmm. So that really is what I want everyone to take away from it. We can consume. I'm a Michael fan. I've seen what they do, and they continue to reel in the money. I don't want that to happen for Britney. And I don't think anyone's grandmother, child, niece, nephew, nobody should be subjected to this. So just kind of question yourself, question the systems, and do a little bit of research.
Albert, how about you? What do you think we can do to help and bring more awareness and attention to this? And also what's next? What do you predict or can see coming from where we are right now? With obviously she filed today. What do you hope for or can see happening next?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I echo everything Jasmine said. Obviously, we all know every movement both massive and small, the goal of that movement is to educate, right? Because there's no change without education. You can't get someone to change their opinion about something unless they're educated on the actual facts. So whether it's, you know, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, the LGBTQ movement, or Free Britney, they're all movements that have a cause and that have, you know, something to be learned so that then people could properly act on it. So I definitely think it is important to stay educated. You know, I saw a couple Free Britney accounts sending out, you know, local officials to not only demand looking into Britney's conservatorship, but like more high level, like conservatorship reform. This is definitely happening to other people if it's happening to probably one of the most powerful women walking on the earth. So, you know, if you feel so inclined, definitely reach out to, you know, your local like congressman or whatnot. And then I think the other thing too is, you know, with this hindsight 2020, if you have a hunch, if you have a feeling, like we all have for years been saying something is up, but I'm still buying the tickets. I'm still streaming the songs. We're still fangirling, but the whole time in your gut, something is up. So whether it's with your favorite pop star, or it is with Gma or an aunt or someone, if you feel something is off or someone's voice is being taken away or just something doesn't seem right, you know, your gut is usually right. And then you should act on it. I mean, you know, with Britney, it's like something's up, but, you know, you say to yourself, what are we supposed to do? And some pretty brave people created a movement, right? But, you know, even on a more localized scale, if you feel something's, not to sound cheesy, you see something, say something. That's how we live here in New York City. That's how we do it here in New York. You see something, say something. So I would just say speak up for those who maybe you don't think have a voice or their voice has been taken away.
I love that, Albert. I love that so much. If you are in a situation or have an inkling or a feeling that someone's voice is not being heard that needs to, be an advocate for them, be a voice for them, reach out to them. Hey, I've noticed that this is going on. Do you need anything? Or like, how are you feeling? Or I noticed that this is off. Or like, it's so true. Like we are in a state of the world right now where like, it's very easy for us to be like, girl, I have enough of my own problems. Like I can't take this on. But when you think about how this can hit home, how this can affect people in your life, how this is happening to Britney Spears, trust me, it can happen to your mama, to your aunt, to anybody. Like I told my mom the other day, like, listen, you could get into a car accident, God forbid, bump your head and start to forget things. And the state can come right in and be like, she has dementia, or like, there's something wrong with her. She's not capable of making her own decisions. So we're going to file conservatorship. And then just like that, you are no longer a human being with your own rights and your own autonomy. And to think that from one accident that can catapult to this and trying to get out of it, and how much more difficult that is on the other side. Because this could be done in a matter of weeks, file some paperwork, have an evaluation, and done, and boom, you belong to somebody else. But to get out of it, I mean, we're talking about, it's a lot of work. And so to both Jasmine and Albert's points, make sure you guys are educating yourself. This is bigger than just Free Britney. This is bigger than Britney Spears. This is about having control of our own bodies and being able to support ourselves and other people and speaking up for those who need help. I want to thank you guys both for doing this. This was amazing. I'm so grateful for both of you. I know that we talked about possibly bringing up makeup and all of that, but I just feel like this feels such a good moment to just close on that I don't even care to talk about beauty right now. I promise you guys next week it'll be a makeup action-packed episode. But again, thank you guys so much. Can you both tell us your Instagram handles where people can engage with you guys to keep seeing y'all do y'all thing for Free Britney? If you want to see the photos of Mr. Albert, cute self with Britney's cutout and all of that, you got to follow me too and check his page out, because I still got to put those out. I still haven't forgot.
They're brutal. They're funny, but they're brutal.
Yeah.
My handle is AP DiMatteo, or you could just type in Albert Paul, usually pop up. I'm happy to have a conversation with literally anyone who's willing to have it about my girl. because I love her.
And Jasmine, where can we follow you and I know that you also have created like a community page / kind of like organization for this too, right? So plug both.
Yes.
I want people to be able to follow both.
Cool. So a group of other Free Britney activists and I have created something called the Freedom Series to host different discussions that are based around the issues of Free Britney, kind of like this, what we just had here. So thank you so much. It's called Freedom Series. So you can find us on Instagram at freedom.series. We've talked about family law. We've talked about the whole racket and how guardianships are happening. It's the same playbook that they use on Britney that they use on everyday folks. And we have also talked about media literacy. So at this point, when we're getting so many different things about Britney, and just to have an eye open, like, where is this source? Why would they want this to be out there? Because, we've all been bamboozled for over a decade now. And, just for us to put on our lenses because they're a little bit ahead of us. And then my personal self, I am on Twitter at Violet Wolf. So VYLETTEWULF. So that's where I have my Free Britney discussions on Twitter, and then the Freedom Series. Follow us. We're on YouTube as well if you want to subscribe. So we're there.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you guys for an amazing show. I love you both dearly. Thank you so much for doing this. And again, you guys, make sure you support the movement by getting involved, educating yourself. Follow hashtag Free Britney everywhere. Engage in conversations. Slide in our DMs. I am like plugged in and invested in this. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and share for more videos like this. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Stephen London. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'll see you next time on another episode of Man Over. Love you guys. Mwah.